It can be extremely overwhelming in today's market to go skincare shopping when you see the same type of products ranging in price from just a few dollars to several $100s depending on the brand. And it's difficult to know whether you're paying for an increased quality of product or just the packaging and the marketing or reputation of the brand. So I've broken down the two lists, one on ingredients worth splurging on and one on ingredients or products that are worth the save. So if you are navigating the world of skincare on a budget, hopefully this will help you understand where and why certain ingredients do cost more while others are inexpensive and there's no reason to pay a lot of money for them. Before I get started, I will say some of you have asked me about where you can purchase Alastin and Skin Better Science products. They are sold through physicians and in med spas, but I have them on my website. Because I'm a physician, I can provide these products, make them available to you. I'm gonna start with the save list and begin with cleansers. Cleansers are products that never stay on your face for more than a few seconds. So in general, any claims that are made about beneficial anti-aging ingredients don't really matter because you put them on, but you rinse them off a few seconds later. So the most important thing in a cleanser is that it actually cleanses your face and it doesn't strip your face so it feels very tight and over dry once you've finished washing your face. If you have a cleanser you like and it isn't expensive, by all means keep using it. The only caveat to that I would say are alpha hydroxy, beta hydroxy acids, because even though they don't stay on the face for very long, while you're washing the skin, they can be working on the outermost layer to help break it up and slough off some dead skin cells, because washing your face is a type of gentle exfoliation. So that is the one ingredient that I would say that really makes sense, but otherwise there's no reason to spend a lot of money on a cleanser. The next ingredient that isn't expensive to make and doesn't require sophisticated technology to stabilize it or enhance its penetration through the skin are the alpha and beta hydroxy acids. These are natural acids often derived from fruit. Citric acid, for example, from citrus fruit. Glycolic acid comes from sugarcane, lactic acid from sour milk and tomatoes, and mandelic acid, apples. These are small molecules. Mandelic acid is the largest of them, and there is no reason why these particular products should not be affordable. So whether you choose to buy pads to tone your face or a liquid toner or buy serums or moisturizers that contain these acids, this particular ingredient is not a reason for the product to be expensive. Moving down the list, exfoliating polishes, if you like a physical exfoliation, that really depends, because it really depends on the beads or the substance that is used to physically scrub your face. And I would say the quality of this is not necessarily price dependent. You can find really good physical exfoliants at the drugstore as well as high-end, and you can find not so good ones at the drugstore and high-end products. For example, in theory, a great scrub would be do-it-yourself sugar and, for instance, lemon juice. You've got your alpha hydroxy acid and a physical exfoliant. But the problem with sugar is that sugar has extremely rough and sharp edges. We don't realize it, but if you've ever used your finger to scrub the bottom of a sugar bowl where some sugar was stuck to the bowl, you can see the scratches in your skin and possibly cut your skin from rubbing the sugar in the sugar bowl. So sugar is a terrible natural physical exfoliant because it is so abrasive that it actually just damages your skin. And there are expensive skincare lines that use sugar scrubs. So this one isn't about price, it's just about finding a good quality exfoliating substance that, while it does cause some abrasion, is still very gentle on the skin. And you can find those in both the categories of saving and splurging. So that's really product dependent. Another category that does not need to be expensive is in the humectants. These are hydrators for our skin. They're very important for our skin, much more so than any type of oil. And glycerin is an incredible hydrator. It's one of my favorites. It's not expensive to produce. Another great one that isn't expensive is colloidal oatmeal, which also contains beta-glucans. And hyaluronic acid, I would say in the inexpensive category, is just not worth your money at all. Don't even buy it, because hyaluronic acid is a very large molecule. I'm going to just leave hyaluronic acid out of this. It's generally speaking not worth your money. I only know of one product that it's worth the money, and I'll talk about that in the splurges, but it's not a great humectant. Glycerin is a great humectant. So is colloidal oatmeal. Urea is another one, also not expensive. Urea depends on the concentration. It can be a hydrator and it can work as a keratolytic, which means it breaks up the skin cells and helps to breed the outer skin cell layer and helps the cell turn over. Another important ingredient that is not a hydrator per se, but acts to help hydrate the skin, is the category of ceramides. These help reduce transepidermal water loss, meaning they help prevent water from evaporating from the skin surface by strengthening the lipid barrier, the stratum corneum, which is the outermost cell layer that is made up of lipids and cholesterol, and it's strengthened through ceramides. Deriving ceramides from animals and plants is a very expensive process, so yeast is used, grown in a dish, to derive synthetically the ceramide ingredient. This is not an expensive process. However, the caveat to this is that they are large molecules. So again, large molecules have a harder time penetrating the skin surface. These are lipids, however, and the skin is lipid, and lipids love lipids, so that makes it easier. And it's thought that the mechanism in which they penetrate the skin is through hair follicles and through pores, and that's how they get deeper into the skin and help boost the skin barrier that way. And a new invention on the market, which is going to be in the splurge category, are nanoceramides, and I'll talk about those later. The next category is antioxidants, and that is just a bag of various different things. Some are expensive, some aren't, so it's difficult to know. But for one example, niacinamide. Niacinamide has many anti-aging benefits, and one of the things that it does is act as a very potent antioxidant. It is just a derivative of vitamin B3. It isn't very difficult to produce, and it isn't an expensive ingredient. So that is a potent antioxidant that you can use in your skincare routine that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Whereas vitamin C is an antioxidant that requires so much effort, that one does cost a lot of money. So let's use vitamin C to now transition over to the splurge category. Vitamin C in the form of Ascorbic acid is the form that our skin is able to utilize. Ascorbic acid is extremely unstable, and it oxidizes or breaks apart and becomes inactive when exposed to light, when exposed to heat, and when exposed to oxygen or air, ambient air. This product has to be at a low pH, which can be irritating to the skin. It has to be in a dark container, and ideally it should be in an airtight chamber where it has no contact with air. That is an antioxidant that you would have to splurge on to get a good quality product. Now let's go back to hydrators for a second. Hyaluronic acid, which everyone has heard of, which is great in absorbing water and so popular that it's in just about every skincare ingredient, isn't actually a great hydrator unless you spend a lot of money on it. And the reason for that is it is a huge molecule, and so what the industry does is chops it up into small pieces and puts it in the products that you buy. However, in that state, it still does not penetrate your skin, and while it's busy absorbing water from everywhere, it also absorbs it from your skin to itself while it sits on the skin surface. So you may find that the hyaluronic acid can actually dry you out. A good hyaluronic acid product is going to have a large size hyaluronic acid molecule. But the problem with this is that it's too large to penetrate the skin surface. So the only hyaluronic acid that I know of that I think is worth the money is the Skin Better Science Interface lines. There are 5 different types of hyaluronic acid molecules in that product, and they're all coated with lipid, and the lipid technology is supposed to help the large molecule traverse between the cells and get to the deeper layers of the skin where it actually can draw water and help hydrate the skin. Because if the hyaluronic acid sits on the skin surface, it will pull water from the air, from the environment, and from your skin, and really do no service to your skin at all. Another large molecule that can't really absorb through the skin surface are peptides. Peptides are small components of proteins, and proteins are huge molecules. And so when we put them on our skin, generally speaking, they sit on the skin surface. Most peptides are too large to penetrate the skin unless they are associated with proprietary technology that specifically targets to help that molecule absorb through the skin. But just a peptide on its own is not going to penetrate your skin. Another ingredient that's absolutely worth the splurge is a retinoid. My number one choice is tretinoin because it is the most powerful, the most effective, the most studied, and the most proven to work ingredient. And this is prescription, on prescription only. But there is a website, there's a brand called Curology. I think it's Curology.com. This is not sponsored. I've never tried them myself, but I know of them. And they formulate prescription tretinoin. So if you're interested, you can look them up. That's one way to get tretinoin that I think is less expensive. But otherwise, if you choose to buy a retinol, retinol is another one of those tricky ingredients. It requires 2 additional steps before it turns into retinoic acid, which is tretinoin, the active form of the ingredient that the skin can actually use. So it's very important that the retinol is in the right vehicle or the right environment, that it can go through those 2 extra steps to become retinoic acid. So it doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to be a reliable company that makes good retinols. So in this case, I would either say you choose an expensive prescription product. I think Curology is not that expensive from what I hear. You can let me know if you've used it, let me know in the comments below. Or you can actually choose a retinol in the drugstore that isn't expensive, buy a huge brand that has huge laboratories where they do their research and their product formulations. So L'Oreal would be an example of that. And L'Oreal owns La Roche-Posay, and they also own CeraVe, amongst many other brands. So when you're buying a retinol from these brands, you are getting a good retinol and you don't have to pay a lot of money for it. I would say that's probably better than a smaller brand at Sephora that costs more, but they probably don't have access to really good formulatory laboratories, and their retinol won't be of the same quality. So this one is tricky. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it, but it depends on who you buy it from. Another type of product that may be worth the splurge is one that has many good ingredients within one product, and thereby you only have to buy one product instead of several others that contain the multiple ingredients that you could find in one. For example, the Skin Better Science Alto has 19 antioxidants, but if you were to go out and buy a separate vitamin C and a separate green tea extract and a separate other antioxidant formulation, you may spend just as much money on these multiple antioxidants versus just getting one antioxidant formulation that has 19 different types of ingredients in it. But that, again, that is product specific, but it sometimes may be worth to spend more just to get a better product packed full of really good ingredients. Another one that is absolutely worth a splurge, in my opinion, is sunscreen. And the reason for that is you can buy $5 sunscreen, you can buy $50 sunscreen, but the technology that goes into sunscreen formulation it's expensive. It's expensive, it requires a lot of steps, and it also requires high quality ingredients. So that is absolutely worth the splurge. If you get a good quality sunscreen, what you're getting is protection from UVA, UVB, you're getting protection from infrared light, blue light. These sunscreens also have antioxidants in them, so you're also getting protection from pollution. So they are just one of those products that have many beneficial ingredients. Absolutely worth the splurge. If you buy a less expensive sunscreen that has UVA, UVB protection, you're still going to be getting a lot of sun damage because it doesn't have these additional filters which cost money to make. So that's another one I would absolutely spend money on. And now let's move on to sophisticated ingredients. So that would include growth factors or specific, sort of related to growth factors, specific ingredients that are expensive to synthesize and formulate, like, you know, one of my favorite brands, Alastin, their TriHex Technology. The reason I love them so much is because they have shown on histology slides from biopsies of skin that using TriHex Technology really does help boost the synthesis of collagen and elastin. So when they took slides or samples of skin after people have been using the product, there was much more collagen and elastin than there was before the product was started. So these are small ingredients, growth factors. These are little peptides that have very specific functions. They work with one another. These are extremely expensive to formulate. Sometimes they can be made synthetically, sometimes they can be derived from plants or animals, but it is an expensive process. So it is worth the splurge in the sense that if you buy a growth factor serum that's inexpensive, there's no way that it's actually going to be effective. But it may not be worth the splurge in the sense of, does it add that much more value to your skin? If you've already got a great skincare routine and you've got antioxidants in your routine, alpha and beta hydroxy acids, great hydrators, you've got a retinol and a great sunscreen, it may, it'll benefit your skin, but only maybe by that much. And so it may not be worth the money for you, only because, growth factors can only do so much. So while I would say they have to be pricey to be of good quality, you may choose not to add that type of product to your skincare routine, and you're still going to have a fantastic skincare routine if you've got all these other ingredients in there. So I would reserve this for the luxury category. If you have the money, if you choose to, you can add growth factors, these TriHex technologies, these really sophisticated technological formulations that really can't come at a lower price because they're just expensive to make. Another quick one that fits exactly in the same thread are eye creams. Unless the eye cream you're getting has very specific ingredients that will help the eye area. So it will depuff, it will help with pigmentation, it will hydrate the right way, or it will have a gentle retinol. In most cases, you don't need an eye cream. If you have good quality face products, you can pull them up around the eye area and they will serve the same purpose. So if you want to know more information about that, I do have a video on eye creams, and I have a whole series on periorbital rejuvenation that you can look into. I'll link those down below. But generally speaking, for hydration, for antioxidants, for sunscreen, you do not need an eye cream. So I would only splurge on that if there's a specific reason for it. And lastly, let's just go back to ceramides for 1 second. I mentioned that there is a brand of nano ceramides that is called Astralift Jelly Aquarysta. And this has been shown to enhance the absorption of ceramides 9-fold. So if you're interested and you want ceramides that have proven to have a really good absorption, that's a product you could look into. That's it for the Save and the Splurge list. I hope this helps you when you go skincare shopping. If you've tried Curology or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.